from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Tell me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the Uda. Welcome to the Uda. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, all my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer.
We back, y'all. We are back with another one. We got Sean Diddy Combs files for an appeal in a new file that's updated in the docket. Salute to everybody that's a part of On Go. Salute to everybody that's a part of all of the platforms that I have. Nothing but love to everybody. Remember, make sure everybody subscribe to On Go, OOTAONGO on all platforms. Make sure you're all subscribed. All right, cool. We ain't even gonna waste no time. We're gonna try to get into this read, and I got some updates. So let's see what updates I do have, and we're gonna see what we got. All right, cool. So let's get right into the update. Okay, where we at with the paperwork? Cool. All right. So you see the paperwork. We got the docket number. We got everything. All right. Notice is hereby given that Sean Combs appeals to the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit from the judgment. Then it goes into the specifics. This was entered in action on October 15, 2025. Amended on October 16, 2025. The appeal concerns, it got options: conviction only, sentence only, conviction and sentence. Okay, so they talking about both his conviction and his sentence. I don't know if that's a good play. I just don't know if that's a good play right there. Maybe go for the sentence, the conviction and the sentence. You know what I mean? Come on. You was there still, Diddy. You know what I'm saying? You was engaging in certain things, regardless if we feel whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying? So if you got the conviction, I get it. You have to do that because it's what your lawyer's going to do, because they trying to spring you. So I get it. But I think you got more grounds on the sentencing than on the conviction. All right. The defendant found guilty by plea of the trial. You see, it's no plea. It was a trial. Offense occurred after November 1st, 1987. Yes, they show you that. The date of the offense was October 3rd, 2025 is when he got date when he got sentenced, not offense. That's when he got sentenced. Okay. Okay, bail, jail. Okay, he's committed in the jail. Appellant is represented by counsel. Yes. The defendant counsel is Shapiro. They're going to Shapiro's address and all that stuff. Assistant U.S. Attorney Johnson. Johnson is the one that started the whole case. She's the one who did the opening arguments or the opening statement or whatever you call it. She's the first person that came out to speak. All right, United States District Court, Manhattan, purpose, case. Okay, let's see. Notice of appeal, docket fee. They went to a fee. Okay, just to file this fee is $600. Just to know that. They went into it. It's a credit card that was tendered. Damn, they have all of those things on the fee. Okay, and it's also a $53 fee that is charged for a return check. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So what else do we have here, though? Let's see what this means, though, because we understand right now when it comes to Agnifilo and Diddy's team itself, you know what I mean? We understand that they are saying that the judge became a 13th juror, and they are saying that constitutional laws was broken. Okay. I think based on Diddy's first offense, okay, that he can get the first chance act type stuff, you know what I mean? That may be some months off of his sentence already. Besides anything else, that may knock off a couple of months off his sentence. I'm not even talking about an appeal. Okay. We understand that the judge sentenced Diddy in a way that even when you go for these appeals and stuff, these people are going to look at you in a way. Trust me, we have to be honest with each other. All right. Because the probation office, they recommended 5 years as the floor for a sentence. And as their ceiling, they said 7 years. So they said 5 to 7 was their recommendation. That's what probation says. We understand that probation means a lot. Victim statements, everything the prosecution's saying, because the prosecution's not losers in this case, regardless if Diddy thinks he's innocent or not. The prosecution are winners, even if they lost the bigger charges, which I felt were trumped up charges. I think that they were going for bigger charges, right? If they really wanted justice for potential victims, they could have maybe a lot of statutes of limitations past things, but in a 10-year span, we can think about that leads Cassie, that also leads into Jane, that also leads into that. When it comes into the abuses, Diddy would have had to plead guilty to his abuses that he did, that they said in open court on the first day of trial that they would have pled guilty to. They would have had no choice. This is a domestic case. They're about to show you the evidence. You're about to see the videos and all these types of stuff. But even though that happened in LA, this would have been a New York case. So anything that happened in New York hotels or anything here would have been the situation that was going on. And that's what Diddy would have been tried for if they tried him here in New York City, because you would want to try him in the Southern District of New York. You would want to try him in New York City. Okay. So you have to understand those things, regardless of whose side you're on. It's not about being pro anyone. Okay. It's not about being nothing. Okay. Diddy got his sentence. Okay. What are we supposed to do now? All right. The appeal is out there now. Okay. Will Diddy win his appeal? Will he win his appeal? Do you think that Diddy got sentenced to too much time? Based on other cases that had the same similar charges like Diddy, a lot of people got probation. A lot of people got like a year in jail. This is why his defense team was pushing for like 14 months, because based on a lot of cases, all right, we seen Driscoll, who's another lawyer on Diddy's team. He said, I read about 900 cases, all Mann Act cases, you know what I'm saying? And went into breaking down how a lot of these Mann Act cases were tried and how each person was sentenced. You know what I mean? So he gave me a lot of context, a lot of everybody, the prosecution and the defense. They both gave me both sides of how they was pushing and what they were pushing for. Okay. Diddy's next best thing is getting housed in a great location. Fort Dix would be a great location for him. You know, he could just get in there, just do his thing. You know what I mean? Do his thing in the sense of just get your head down, just do your sentence, just do your thing. Like that. Not about doing no thing and being Diddy, is Diddy. Not about being that. You know what I'm saying? I think the defense team took a long time to get to what Diddy's out of jail rehabilitation, integration back into society, back into the community looks like. I think they were really rabbit footed, turtle footed or turtle footed with the situation. I think they were. It was more about the black and whites, what the judge was doing, what this was doing with the prosecution, the paperwork, the black and white. And this is why a lot of people felt like Diddy wasn't taking like the accountability for everything that happened. When Diddy got a chance to speak, though, he did, though. You know what I mean? He apologized to everyone. You know what I'm saying? I think those are things that he needed to do. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I said that I thought that he needed to do, he did. You know what I'm saying? I think that he did it. I didn't think that Diddy's tears was fake. I think that they were real. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think that when he said he changed in a lot of ways, I didn't think that was fake. I think that he did change in a lot of ways, probably. You know what I mean? Based on not just based on his children's testimony and people there, because everybody's on his side, so they're going to testify to his side. So I get that. But I just understand that, you know what I mean? Just being in a place like that, you know what I mean? You don't even have to be at a level of a Diddy. Just being in a place like that has a power to change, has a power to make you look at life, has a power to make you rethink a lot of your steps, you know what I'm saying? And take ownership of a lot of it. Whether you tell people outwardly or not, it makes you inside, you know what I mean? Whether you keep on that same trajectory and stay that same way or stay that same course after, that's something else. But I know just being in there, having, you know what I mean, having to deal with yourself, whatever your vices are, whatever your, you know what I'm saying, whatever your issues are, you just have to deal with yourself when you're in there and you have nowhere to run. Being free and being outside, sometimes you have places to run. You can do this, you can do that. You could be a PDF right now and you run all around the world, but now you inside and everybody knows your paperwork and you inside there. Where you're gonna run? You see what I'm saying? So being in there, you don't have a lot of places to run. You don't have nowhere to go, but inward and really learn more about yourself. So I want to look forward to what that plan for Diddy looks like. You know what I'm saying? Will he get the appeal though? Tell me, do you think will Diddy get his appeal? I don't know. Let's see what we got here. We know that he got a $500,000 fine. We understand that he got 4 years and 2 months. He already got 13 months in. He's on short change. We already know that the defense asked for the 14 months, like I told you. Okay, the defense, led by Mark Agnifilo and others, say that the judge essentially reweighed evidence that the jury already decided and used it to increase the sentence rather than limiting himself to what the jury found or did not find. So basically, the jury found him not guilty of these things. So they basically saying, like, look, the jury didn't think that he was guilty of the coercion and this, the that, and all of these other things, right? Even Kid Cudi coming in the court testifying, saying all the things that he said. Whether we think Cudi was true or not, he's a plumb fool.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
He snitched and did all of that. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, he didn't even have cameras in his house. If he had cameras in his house, allegedly, he would have been able to prove that Diddy was there. So imagine how fool Kid Cudi is, and you just snitch for nothing. It's just retarded. Anyway, specifically, they say that the jury acquitted Diddy of coercion, force, sex, and the trafficking counts. Yet the judge nonetheless treated the convictions as involving force, fraud, and coercion enhancements, which the defense says conflicts with the jury verdict. Okay, I understand that. They're making good grounds on that. But I was there in Diddy's court when Diddy was sentenced. I was inside his court. You know what I mean? Not in the other rooms and all that. You know what I mean? I went up there for this day because I just really wanted to see exactly what was going to happen. And the whole time while the judge was ruling and he was knocking off and overruling, you know what I'm saying, all of, you know what I'm saying, Betty dismissing or whatever the case may be, all of the enhancement that the prosecution wanted, because he dismissed things on both sides. But he was dismissing a lot of the enhancements that the prosecution wanted to do. He was like, nah, I dismissed that. But, even regardless, like irregardless to all of it, even if I'm dismissing the enhancement or whatever you're seeking, the motion for the enhancement, it doesn't weigh on what my sentence is going to be. And he said that like 4 times or 5 times in a way. I'm like, what does he mean? Like, so what is he going to sentence him to? Though? So if the enhancements don't mean nothing, because I was there. I'm like, if the enhancements don't mean that much on your weigh that heavily on your sentence, because it seems like you're going to sentence him to what you're going to sentence him to. So I was like, all right, cool. He going to get the 5 years then. That's what I was thinking the whole time, bro. And I said that before this. I think that they're going to give him what the probation is seeking. But the judge did better than what probation was seeking. And that's why I think that if it's not proven all of these things that the defense is seeking, it might be hard, you know what I mean, for them to wiggle out of that, you know what I mean, because the defense also did get a break because the probation wanted 5 years as the minimum. You see what I'm saying? And you got like how many months less than that? You got 4 years and 2. You got 10 months less. You got 10 months less than what the probations was seeking. All right, cool. So you already know the coercion. They claim that by doing so, the judge functioned like a 13th juror, since typically the jury is the fact finder and the judge imposes sentence based on the jury's findings plus relevant guidelines, relevant then respecting the jury's verdict. Okay. Now, the use of acquitted conduct at a sentence. Now, we understand that relevant conduct, things that you could be acquitted of, can be used as relevant conduct, brought back up if it flies or not, but it's legal that they bring back this as relevant conduct to enhance your sentencing guidelines. Okay. So to push the sentencing guidelines or push your sentence. Okay. The defense argues that the judge improperly considered conduct that the jury rejected or did not convict Diddy of i.e., coercion, force, and sex trafficking counts, in calculating enhancements to the sentence. They point to the rule guideline update. For example, the U.S. Sentencing Commission had amended guidelines to restrict judges' use of acquitted conduct in many sentencing decisions. Hold up. In many sentencing decisions, the defense says that the judge's treatment was inconsistent with that. Now, in plain terms, if the jury said not guilty of coercion and force, the defense argues that the judge shouldn't penalize Diddy based on the theory that he used coercion and force. Now, the sentence is unreasonable or in excess of what was appropriate. Now, the defense argues that the sentence is too harsh in light of the conviction, the 2 prostitution transportation counts, mitigating factors, Diddy's lack of recent criminal history, his community ties, his remorse, which I saw him say it in court, and the fact that he was acquitted of more serious charges. They claim that the sentencing did not properly account for the jury's verdict and the difference between the charges of the conviction and the larger theory of the case, which the prosecutors heavily emphasized. All of the things that they were saying that he did, and the baby O's, the lace O's, and all of this. It was men, women, kids, all kind of things, allegedly. You know what I mean? All of these extra things. The case that the prosecution was pushing out was way more than all of this. And he's being sentenced much more harder, even though when he had these couple of charges that other people had and then got probation. You could go to Stebic, Trowbridge, and Tills and Allen. You could go to that case right there. You know what I mean? You could go to Chavez case and a couple of cases that Diddy's defense team cited, besides a couple of cases that I can name to you too that I also read on my own, just to see what other cases besides the cases that they cited. You know what I mean? I'm not like Diddy's defense team Dresco. You know what I'm saying? He read like 900 cases. All right, cool. The constitutional and procedural concerns. By alleging that the judge acted as a 13th juror, they are signaling possible due process or Sixth Amendment jury trial rights issues, that the jury decides guilt facts and that the judge cannot substitute his fact findings for the jury's. They may also argue that the enhancements or the sentencing based on non-jury found facts violate the recent Supreme Court proceedings or sentencing guideline norms. Though this will depend on jurisdictional law, they also allege that the judge's reasoning, repeated references to coercion, because he was talking about the coercion, he was talking about the violences when he was talking, because he did his own speech, the judge did his own diatribe. All right, cool. So the repeated references to coercion, which the judge rejected, deprived Diddy of a fair sentencing process. Now, what does the judge acted like a 13th juror mean? Okay, here's how you explain the concept simply. Okay, in a jury trial, the jury, normally 12 people, hears the evidence and decides guilt or innocence of the accused on each charge count. The judge does not replace the jury in determining those facts. Instead, the judge uses the jury's verdict as well as other findings, sometimes by the judge himself, to determine what sentence is appropriate under the law. Now, when defense says that the judge acted as a 13th juror, they mean that the judge overstepped by reassessing or disagreeing with the jury's verdict, factual findings, for example, concluding that Diddy used coercion, even though the jury said that he didn't, and he was not guilty of that, right? And he was not guilty of the alleged coercion, and then use that reassessment to impose this harsher sentence. Now, it's essentially a complaint that the judge substituted his own view of the facts or found facts that the jury declined to find, rather than simply accepting the jury's verdict and applying the law accordingly. Now, so acting like a 13th juror equals the judge playing the role of a jury member, fact finder, rather than only a sentencing judge, because that's what he's there for. Even though the judge is there watching the case too, so he's going to have his own feelings about certain things, but he has to base that on what the jury is saying as well. You know what I mean? So in that case, it's kind of a tricky one. You know what I mean? It was kind of tricky. So if the defense succeed on appeal in showing that the judge improperly considered acquitted conduct or effectively eroded the jury's factual findings, the sentence could be vacated or remanded for a new sentencing hearing without the problematic fact finding. Such a ruling could also affect how sentencing guidelines apply in future cases, especially the jury acquits on certain counts and the judge uses related conduct in sentencing. It could change some of those facts on how that happens now, because this is a big case as well. This is like an OJ case as well. So, any case could probably do that, but this case specifically is a case that can do that. It raises larger questions about fairness of sentencing and the respect for jury verdicts, especially in high-profile cases. Like, do you respect what the jury said or not? The jury didn't believe Jane and Cassie when it came to all of the trafficking and all of the other stuff. Whether you agree it, whether you think it, whether you side with victims or not. The jury did not agree with that wholly. They didn't. They didn't buy the story. They think that them women was there. Maybe at times they weren't, but they believe wholeheartedly they were there because they wanted to be there. That's why they found Diddy not guilty of those 3 big charges. See what I'm saying? But they found him guilty of the prostitution and all of those things. But the judge said that he was using coercion and he was using abuse to keep those things going on. So the judge kept making references to those things. And that's what the defense is arguing as well, that he just kept making references to those things. So it goes to show you that if maybe it was malicious, it was the intent there that he was using his own thought instead of basing it on what the jury said. Now, so for Diddy, personally, a successful appeal might reduce his sentence, like I said, or need to a new hearing, potentially a lesser sentence, though an appeal does not automatically mean he's released. He's likely remains incarcerated unless bail is granted on appeal, which is rare in many federal cases. So even then, look, they said even then, bail is still rare. So now you still got your sentence here. Look, see what I'm saying? It's just weird. So for the prosecution side now, because that's Diddy's side. For the prosecution side, they would defend the judge's decision, arguing to the sentence that the judge is allowed to consider relevant conduct, included uncharged or acquitted conduct in some cases, and that the sentence was within the statutory and the guidelines bounds. Now, current odds to watch. What? Oh, let's see this. Okay, the defense appears to have plausible grounds for the appeal, though. The acquitted conduct enhancement issue, because it touches upon emerging sentencing laws, questions, and the jury verdict versus the judge fact-finding intentions. However, the appeals are historically hard to win in sentencing matters unless there was a clear legal or procedural error, not just that the sentence seems harsh. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's going to be kind of hard for him, because also it doesn't seem as harsh when the judge is supposed to give you 5 minimum and the prosecution was seeking 11 and the probation said 5 minimum, 7 maximum. So he could have gave you a 6 and everything was straight. Forget what everybody else got. Just based on what probation dealing with, based on what prosecution dealing with, he could have just did that. You know what I mean? And we'd have been in a whole nother story. Twilight Zone. Diddy have been in Twilight Zone. All right. Okay. All right. The sentencing judge's decision appears within the board's discretion. Judge have in sentencing, and the judge justified enhancements and his reasoning, even if contested. That makes a successful reversal more difficult. If the appeal is granted, possible outcomes: a new sentencing hearing. A. Again. B. Reduced sentence. Okay, I already read this to you, but I'm just going to go back over this again. C. Affirmation of the sentence. All right. Now, given the high profile nature of the case, the appellate court may pay careful attention, but that doesn't guarantee an outcome that is favorable to Diddy. Okay. Now, Diddy's appealing his sentence of 50 months for $500K fine. I mean, do you think that's excessive? What do y'all think about that? Do you think it was enough? What do you think? All right. We already know what the defense is pushing for. We already know what Diddy's pushing for. The 13th juror, do you believe that the judge became a 13th juror? We already know that the defense claimed that it violates the principle that the jury verdict should be respected and that the enhancements and the sentences should not penalize based on the conduct that the jury found that he did not commit. So we understand that all of those things are true. You know what I'm saying? But will this fly? Or do you want to hear the birds? Leave it to Beaver, homie. I don't know. I don't know. Straight. But y'all get in the comments. Y'all get in the scribings. Subscribe to the channel. Turn the notification bells on. Make sure you're notified when we drop a new content. Tell me what y'all thinking about it, man. Do you think Diddy got good grounds for it? Do you think that he just sits and does the remainder of his sentence? Do you think he does his full term? Do you think he gets months chipped off of it? Do you think he should have got found guilty of everything? Do you think he should have been acquitted of everything? What's your thoughts, man? Y'all let me know what y'all think, and make sure y'all subscribe to Uda on Go, OOTAONGO. Put the world on go. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure the notification bells are on.
All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. All my niggas turn shooters.